Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama, Season 2, Episode 13 of my show, which is also about Episode 13. Now, Episode 13 in the second season of Futurama is known as a Bicyclops built for two. But since we're on Episode 13, that means we've got, let's see, there's 20 episodes of 13, 14, 15, 16... 17, 18, 19, 20. So we got about, well, not counting this is 13, 14, 15, 16, 7. What episode number is that? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We got 7 more videos left of season 2, guys. I just wanted to get that out of the way. And I'm sorry if it seems like I had a mental block, but it just slipped my mind because I was trying to remember. But anyway, getting back into it, this is History of Futurama Season 2, Episode 13 of my show, which is also about Episode 13. And Episode 13 is known as a Bicyclops built for two, sort of like a bicycle built for two kind of thing. Now, basically, the way this episode starts off is, the professor gathers the crew of the Planet Express for an announcement. Basically, his announcement is that several years ago, he logged on to AOL and it just went through, and that they're online, and so he's basically telling them that they can go onto the internet. Now, in this series, how they go onto the internet isn't like going onto a computer kind of thing. They actually, what they do is they put on these body suits that act as virtual holographic things, which allow them to project physical forms onto the internet. And when the professor is telling them to put it on, Leela's smelling one of them, and she's like, "They smell like burning rhesus monkey." And then when the professor hears that part, he's like, "Really? I guess when you're around it all day, you stop noticing." So they basically, after getting into the suits and getting onto the internet, Bender presses a button, like he's like, "Behold, the internet!" And then when Fry sees it, he's like, "My God, it's full of ads." And then the ads start attacking them. So basically what happens, because the ads start attacking them, what happens is, when the ads start attacking them, they start fighting them off. And then afterward, they go surf around the internet a bit. And then basically Zoidberg goes to where there's one with a lobster on lobster thing, and one of the other ones goes to something that has like triple like some kind of nudity stuff. And then basically after that, what happens is while they're surfing the internet, they also look into these chat rooms, and then Amy takes a peek into the chat room, one of the chat rooms, and then she sees that the person that's in the chat room has her head, and then she's like, "Hey, that's me!" But Bender basically says that it isn't her because he just took a picture of her and photoshopped it onto someone's body. And she's like, and then when Leela sees it, she's like, "Hey!" So now, going by that logic, I think Leela was the one that Bender photoshopped Amy's face onto. Oh my God, I'm sorry. That's just hilarious. Anyway, basically what happens is after that, Leela enters into this chat room, well, because they go into these separate chat rooms, and then basically Bender is telling Fry that they got a chat room for anything, and then he says here it is, which is the filthy chat room, and then basically, Leela and Amy get disgusted by it, and they decide to go to the filthy chat room, which is basically like the filthy chat room, but essentially what it is I guess just downgraded sort of thing, and then basically what happens is while they're in the chat room, some nerds are trying to act cool about it, but when they see Leela, they get scared because they wanted chicks, but a woman shows up, and then basically Leela tries to make small talk where she said that she's an alien, she's the only one of her species, and she's looking for a good male host, and then basically they get scared by her, and then basically what happens is after that, they leave the chat rooms, and then basically Fry gets bored of surfing the internet, and he wonders what they have to do now that he's done surfing the internet kind of thing. And then basically, before I get back into that part of the episode, I just want to backtrack here. When Zoidberg saw the whole mackerel on mackerel action, he went to it and stuff. Oh my god. Which is funny because he's a lobster-like creature, so mackerel on mackerel thing, that would strike his fancy kind of thing and stuff. Anyway, they go into this other area, which is a ballerina, and then basically Hermes tells Fry that nowadays they're gonna totally play it on video, and then they say that they call it a video game, and then Fry acts so stupid about it, but it's not really. I guess it's sarcastically stupid in this case, because he's like, a video game, well, golly gee, you people in the future are gonna have to show me how it works, which technically he does know how it works, because video games have been around longer, except in the case of this series, they were played on arcade cabinet machines where you had to put in quarters from Fry's time and stuff, but they're not played that way now in this time with video games and stuff where you can just purchase them digitally and stuff. I'm sorry I'm getting off topic, but since I brought the whole video game thing up, I thought I'd mention it. And then they start playing this game, and then basically, which is basically where they have to start blasting each other to destroy them. And then, while they're blasting each other, what happens is Zoidberg actually makes one of the weirdest quips when he's blasting with his claw. And basically what happens is, because basically in the game that they're playing, they can shoot lasers from their hands and stuff, or in Zoidberg's case, claw, and then basically Zoidberg's like, the doctor is in. And then after he gets zapped, he's like, the doctor is out. It's a doctor pun because Zoidberg is a lobster. Who is it? The doctor. So it's a doctor pun. The doctor is in, the doctor is out. He says it because he's in the game, but after he gets blasted by Fry, he's fading out of the game, so he's like, the doctor is out. Oh my god, I'm sorry, that's just hilarious. And then basically what happens is after that, they continue playing the game, and then basically while they're playing, what happens is Fry manages to blast some of the others and manage to defeat them, and then while Leela's running around looking for people to blast because of the fact she comes upon this person who's the same as her, and then she asks him who he is, and then he said that he saw her in the chat room, but she ran before he had a chance to talk to her. And then he said that after all these years of searching for another Cyclops, and then basically Leela says that after she finds him, she gets happy about that, but that happiness doesn't slightly last, because what happens is Fry accidentally blasts the male Cyclops. Now, the male Cyclops isn't actually a Cyclops. I'm going to explain about that when I get into the later segment of this episode. But I should just mention who he is. His name is Alcazar. And basically, like I said, he's not actually a Cyclops, but I'm not going to spoil that part of it. I'm going to save that part of it for the later segment of this video. I just wanted to get that out of the way, though. And then afterwards, while Leela's talking to him, Alcazar says that perhaps she and him, and then by that, but before he could finish his sentence, Fry blasts him, which causes him to be shattered, and then basically Leela's like, "Fry, you idiot! Ever since I was abandoned on Earth, I have always wondered who my people are and where they come from." And then she says that she finally meets another Cyclops, and he blasted him. And he ruined her one chance to find out who she is. And then basically, Fry is acting all faked out, like upset about the other Cyclops being destroyed. He uses it as a ploy to get to Leela to blast him. And then after he blasts him, he wins, and then he starts firing lasers up in the sky. Oh, and the funny thing is, I should just backtrack here. While they were playing the game, the professor showed up on the screen to tell them that they had to sign off because they had a delivery, but he got blasted, so he had to go back onto the internet to tell them, but Leela accidentally blasted him again. And then basically, after that's the only backtracking for that part of the episode I'm gonna do. But anyway, after Leela gets annoyed with Fry for winning the game, she tells them that, come on, they got a job to do, which in this case, the delivery job is basically delivering this giant box of popcorn to a planet called Cineplex 14. Now, from what I'm guessing, since it's a popcorn and the planet is known as Cineplex 14, I'm guessing it's a planet that's also a movie theater type planet kind of place. I'm not really sure, because the reason why I say that is because they didn't actually show the planet in the episode what it looked like because of the storyline of the episode itself. This episode, I mean, but so I'm just making a guesstimate really on what the planet looked like, but I'm guessing it was a planet entirely populated by movie theaters, I think. But that's just my opinion and what I think. Anyway, while they're going to make the delivery, what happens is Fry sees that Leela's still upset, and he's asking her if he's still upset with him, is she still upset with him over ruining her one chance to find out who she is. But she says that she's not. She's just happy he could win a video game. And then he tells him that they have to focus on getting this giant box of popcorn to the people of the planet Cineplex 14. And then that's when she gets the message, and then she gets annoyed by it because she thinks it's spam, but the automated voice thing tells her that it's not spam. Oh my god. And what happens is she answers it, and it turns out to be Alcazar, and then basically he tells the subject hello, and then he says that his name is Alcazar. Fortunately, he managed to get her name, her chat ID, her chat information before he was blasted by that old fish buffoon, and then by that he's referring to Fry. Sorry if you guys see this in the video, I apologize. Anyway, then Fry says that he's his ass, and then basically, Alcazar is telling Leela to come, to the planet of her birth, because they have much to discuss, and coordinates is followed in, and then basically, Fry, and that's where he ends his transmission, and then basically, Fry says that it's too bad they gotta make that urgent popcorn delivery, but Leela disregards the urgent popcorn delivery, and she basically ejects the popcorn and says that it'll get there, which technically in this case for the episode, it doesn't actually get to the planet, because when it's ejected right into a sun, and in this case, a crate full of popcorn being ejected right to the sun of a planet, that's not a good thing, because all the popcorn in the bag, in the giant box, is essentially popcorn kernels, but if you add heat to it, the kernels are going to turn into their actual form, which is popcorn, which is what they do, and because of that, the popcorn grows so big, it causes the box that it's inside to explode. Oh my god, I'm sorry, that's so hilarious, though. And then basically, they arrive on the planet that Leela thinks is her birth planet, and then she says that after so many years of searching, she may have finally found where she belongs, and then basically, Bender's like, too bad it's a dump! And then they basically, are greeted by Alcazar, and he takes them on a tour of their planet, and then basically what happens is, he tells Leela that they're the last of the Cyclopses. Their planet is Icopia, and this is the capital of the planet, which is ironically called Cyclops City. And after he said that, he mentions to her that it's okay if she wants him to stop if he's going too fast for her. And then basically she says it's okay. And then they come upon this, and then he takes them for a tour of some of the places, and they come upon this statue, like a crystal-like picture with a jewel eye inside of it, and then Bender takes that, and then speaking of Bender, I should backtrack here. Basically, for most of the segments of this episode, up until the later half of it, he's gonna basically be trying to steal all the precious things that are inside certain things that interest him in the planet, which in this case is the mural that has a pink gem inside it. Now that's gonna be recurrent in the later segments of this episode. I'm not gonna explain why, but I just thought I'd bring it up. Anyway, then they come upon this area that's fenced off after Alcazar told them that he's shown them the whole place. And then the reason why he mentions about the place that's fenced off is because Fry inquires about it, and he said that it's the Forbidden Valley, a holy sanctuary where no one may tread. And then Fry makes a joke about that, saying that, is that anything like a cemetery? Because I gotta take a leak. And then basically Lena slaps him because she says that's offensive to their people, and then she double checks with Alcazar if it is. And then basically he says it isn't, then basically she slaps him again because of it. Oh my god, I'm sorry. She slapped him twice. Once because she didn't know if it was offensive, but the second time when she finds out that it actually is. Oh my god, I'm sorry. That's just hilarious. And then basically after that what happens is then they go into the palace, and then basically, Alcazar tells Leela that if their race had survived, she would have been like a supermodel or an actress or something, and then basically Leela says, "Oh please, really?" And then because she's inquiring about that, and then basically what happens is after that, Bender does steal some more stuff. Like, one of the things he steals is a sword, and he steals it by sticking it in his mouth and swallowing it, which causes, when he moves to, it causes the sword to move up and down in his throat, which causes him to go, ow, ow, ow. Oh my god, I'm sorry, that's hilarious though. Anyway, after that, what happens is, Leela wonders that it, and then after that, Alcazar shows them to where he spends his days mostly, and then basically after that, Leela inquires to him about what happened to their people, but then Alcazar basically gets upset about that because he basically tells her that it's too painful for him to speak of at the moment, so he tells her he'll show her to her quarters, and then basically at night what happens is Leela's sleeping, and then she hears Alcazar crying, and then basically what happens is after that, because of Leela seeing him cry from her room, and then she wonders what's wrong, and then he tries to downplay that nothing's wrong, but he says that it's just, and then he tells her that he doesn't want her to know because he doesn't want to see tears in her eye, and then basically she inquires that she does want to know what happened to her people because it's important. Now, I think, honestly, in this case, for this episode, the story he tells her is a fabricated lie kind of thing, but she doesn't know that he's not actually a Cyclops until later on in the episode, but that's just my opinion from it. Basically, the story he tells her how their people got destroyed is their people were once prosperous and stuff. However, the eyeless mole people of the planet Subterra 3 grew jealous of the Cyclops' visual prowess, so they fired missiles in all directions, hoping to hit Cyclopia. And unfortunately, one of the many planets hit was theirs. And then there's this Cyclops person asking the one who's a Cyclops looking through a telescope how far away the missile is, and he says 1 trillion miles. But then the missile shows up and lands on them and explodes. And then basically, he said that things got hot, and then basically, Alcazar said that things got hot, and he said that Leela's looking pretty hot, and she should take that off, and then basically, he says that their people don't like to be hot, and then basically, anyway, just before the missile's impact, their smartest scientists managed to save one baby, and then when Leela hears that part of it, she says that she used to be a baby, so it could have been her, which is true. And then Alcazar explains that the reason why he survived was because he was employed in his story. He was employed as a pool worker at the time, and when he came back from retrieving a dead possum, he found out he was the only one left. And then basically, Leo says that that's tragic. And then after that, Alcazar mentions that yes, it is, but the real tragedy is that it makes sense with them. And then Leo says that it doesn't have to. And then Alcazar inquires to what he means. And then after she mentions it again, and he still doesn't follow this, it leads to a scene where they have sex. And then basically, then Alcazar afterwards starts acting like a jerk kind of character, like in a montage, having Leela make stuff, and then basically afterward, what happens is Bender is like, Leela's enjoying one of the many things women enjoy the most, worshiping some low-life jerk. And then Fry gets annoyed with that, and he tells Bender that Alcazar may be some low-life jerk, but he doesn't trust him, and he thinks he's hiding something, so he wants to find out what it is. And then what happens is, after that, when he goes to find out what it is, he ends up falling into this pit after entering into the Forbidden Valley again. And then basically, then it goes back to where Leela is, and then Leela's telling Alcazar that she didn't hair the way he wanted it. And then basically, after that, what happens is, she sees the rat people and the pig, and then they're wondering who they are, and then basically Alcazar says that they're friends, and then basically Leo wonders where he got all that stuff, and then Alcazar makes a joke about giving it away on the street corner just like her, and then basically Leela essentially fires back by saying, too bad they couldn't have on the street with the three things he needed most: mouthwash, a back wax, and stain-proof underwear. And then basically, Hammond's girlfriend is telling her, you go girl, and then basically, like, she's encouraging her, and then basically, Alcazar mentions that her pal Fry managed to, sneak into the Forbidden Valley and got tossed in a dungeon because of it. Take him some food, and he asks her to take him some food so he doesn't die and stink up the place. And then she's wanting him to let him out, but then Alcazar says, geez, Leela, twice in one day, I'm not Superman. And then basically, then when Leela goes to the dungeon area where Fry is, she asks him why he was sneaking around in her people's Forbidden Valley, and he tells her that the reason why he was because he thinks Alcazar was hiding something from her. And then basically, after he mentions that Leela may not want to hear it, she may not like it, but Alcazar's a jerk. But afterwards, what happens is she says that she knows, and then Fry wonders about that, and then Leela's like, Fry, if it's obvious to you with your learning disabilities, of course it's obvious to me. And then she says that he's crude and gross and he treats her like a slave. And then basically Fry tells her to basically dump him, but what happens is she decides that she can't, because if she leaves him at the end of the Cyclops people, and she won't let that happen, not if it means a lifetime of fun and happiness. But after her toilet flushes and Alcazar mentions clean up on aisle 2, Leela says that she'll break up with him at dinner, and then Fry says that he'll be there. And as she tries to, after some encouragement to Fry, but that gets thrown out of the window when Alcazar proposes, and then that sets up the wedding segment, and then basically in the next scene they're getting set for the wedding, and then basically Leela gives Fry a champagne bottle because she asked him that she'd like to help him, but it's her wedding and she's gonna be busy, and you're trying to be happy for her. That way at least one of them will be. And then basically Fry decides to break out, and he basically breaks out by popping the champagne bottle's cork, and it hits the door release button. Oh my god. And then when it hits the door release, what happens is Fry gets ecstatic about that, but as he gets ecstatic about the door release, what happens is the door accidentally slides back down, so Fry has to slide underneath the door, which causes his foot to get a little bit banged up, and then he goes to Bender, and then he asks Bender to that they gotta get some dirt on Alcazar, and he decides to go to the Forbidden Valley to find out what makes it so forbidden, and then Bender kind of acts like he doesn't care about stealing anything, because he said that Fry should go without him, and then Fry mentions that there could be some forbidden stuff Bender could steal, and then Bender mentions that he doesn't know Fry. For once in his life, he feels like he's stolen enough, and then basically Fry snaps him out of it by slapping him, and and telling him to snap out of it, and then that causes his circus to get rearranged, and then he's like, sorry, I don't know what came over me, let's get to it. And he starts singing like, I like stealing, I like taking things. And then they go on these lizards to where the gate to where the Forbidden Valley is. And then basically, Fry is wanting the lizard to jump over the wooded fence, but it crashes through it instead. And then Fry's like, good boy. And then when they show up at where the Forbidden Valley is, Bender's like, whoa, Mittens! And then they see 6 different identical castles. Like, when Fry sees the different identical castles, he's like, my god, 6 different 5 different identical castles. And then Bender inquires, each more identical than the last. And then basically afterwards, after Bender steals some of the gems from the eyes of the statues that are there, and then basically what happens is then it goes into the scene where Leela's having her wedding, and then basically Alcazar is essentially trying to hurry the priest up with the speech, and then so he basically fast forwards him so that he can get through it, and then basically he says that he will, and then he asks Leela that same question, and then except when he asks her, he like copy and paste his response, and then as she's about to say it, what happens is Fry interrupts them, and he's like, hey, Alcazar, you left someone off the guest list. And then this woman who has 6 eyes shows up, and then she's wondering why he's late for their wedding and why he only has 1 eye. And then basically he morphs into a 6-eyed alien and tells her to go back to the castle and wait for him. And then after he tries to explain to Leela why that happened, and he mentions that he's really a Cyclops and he's gonna marry her, and then basically, then Fry shows up with some other aliens, and then Alcazar gets confused about that after his shape-shifting, and then basically what happens is he asks Leela that all this might be really confusing, and then she says that a little, but that's why she decided to hurt him until it makes sense, and every one of them starts beating him up, and then basically they're wanting him to show them his real form, and then afterwards he does, and he's basically a little cricket, and then he explains that but he said that he'll explain they all have needs. His was to make it in bed with 5 weirdos and have them with my identical cast, his identical castles, and then he said that he gave them what they wanted, and of course he made a few bucks on the side, letting Pig watch through the screen door, and then basically after that, Leela inquires as to why he had all 5 weddings on the same day, and then after that, because I was like, hey lady, you know how much it costs to rent a tux that changes shape? And then after that, basically, Leela says that she's got one more question for him. And then she basically said that if he could change form, why didn't he change in the one place that counts? And then they basically sort of started insulting. Benders does a woo insulting thing, and then basically they leave the planet, and then Fry is Leela's thanking Fry for saving him from her. For saving her from him, and then basically he said that's what he does. And then she said that she guesses that she was in such a hurry to figure out who she was, she forgot who she really was. She forgot who she really was, and then basically the professor says no harm done in a lifetime, that she'll make up for that shipment of popcorn she destroyed. She'll have plenty of time to find her true home. And then basically, Leela says, yeah, after all, how many planets can there be? And then, so the episode sort of ends on a sad note. And then that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please give this video the real best you guys can. And I will see you guys next time for the next Futurama video. But until then, guys, like I always tell you with this series, fun on a bun.